What's up, guys? I'm going to come out here right now and tell you that Goldman Sachs and the local media are full of crap. Last week, an article came out saying that Goldman Sachs slated San Diego to receive upwards of a 25% depreciation or recession or pull down in prices, and used us and compared us against places like Austin, Phoenix, San Jose, and say that we were one of the 4 cities across the country that was going to receive a huge drop in prices. And I'm going to be probably not the first person and probably not the last person to come out and say the math doesn't add up. And the fact that we were even compared to cities like that was kind of crazy. And it really all comes down to supply, or inventory as we call it in the real estate world. They had said that, basically that home prices went up too high and things were going to come crashing down. And the reality is if there's not a surplus of homes for sale, there's no reason for anyone to really heavily discount their prices. And frankly, from what I would call the peak, we would call like April, May of 2022 till now, late January of 2023, we've already seen a probably 11, 12+% drop in prices from what we consider the very peak. But the reality is that last 10 or 12% that we went up was kind of frothy and crazy anyway. So we were kind of due to receive that. And what they're saying is that we might see an additional 10+% drop in prices, which for the immediate foreseeable future, I'm just not seeing it. People smarter than me aren't seeing it. Economists aren't seeing it locally. So the math is still kind of out there. I think a lot of this will come down to jobs, right? Because we heard inflation is coming down. There's been good numbers in inflation and it's coming down slowly. Mortgage rates, like I said in a video earlier, if we can get ourselves into the 5s, real estate moves. It's not going to be crazy like 3% land, but it's going to move. And I actually broke down and take a look at what has happened inventory-wise in the 4 cities they compared us to. And some of the cities across the country are way worse than even what they mentioned. We're talking some cities with 100 to 200+% inventory more on the market than there was just last year. And I'm going to start with Austin. So pre-COVID is where I kind of matched all this up to figure out kind of where has been the surpluses. Pre-COVID, we saw an average in Austin of about 2,500 to 2,600 homes on the market pre-COVID. Today, we're hitting kind of right around 3,500 to 4,500 in terms of homes on the market. It's been bouncy because as we gained a lot of inventory, data is catching up and homes are relisting. But that's more inventory that they have in the market. More than 1,000 homes, almost 1,500 extra homes are on the market at any given time in Austin compared to pre-COVID. In San Jose, a little bit smaller market, less homes in general on the market there. They had an average of about 800 to 1,000 homes on the market pre-COVID. Today, now, they're about just under 1,500 on average homes on the market. Now you take Austin, essentially it's like a lot of California and other similar states moved out to Texas thinking they could get things cheaper. They ran up the prices. They say don't bring your California to Texas. Well, that's where they did it, in Austin. San Jose, it's one of the tech hubs of the country, if not the world. So there's a lot of high-paying jobs, a lot of high-paying speculative jobs. And I know where that's probably the biggest hub of job loss that we've seen is actually probably in that San Jose Bay Area, where a lot of people have been laid off in the tech industry. And most of those people were hired making probably TikTok videos of a day in the life at Google, and now they're not at Google and they're a day in the life being sad. And I think that's the big difference now. You look at Phoenix, another market where essentially whenever they're tired of one town, they just go build one a mile down the street because it's all flat desert land. It's easy and cheap to build there. Well, pre-COVID, they were sitting at about 3,600 homes for sale. Today, right now, they're just shy of 5,000. And again, endless land of dirt. There's tons of area to build. There was tons of new construction. Everybody was speculative Airbnb. Every major real estate company who is buying homes bought homes in Phoenix. It's the most popular market for any real estate business to go in and test out. Well, that was one of the markets that they flooded the market with all those properties that the iBuyer companies were trying to buy, and they just had to get rid of them. Well, they flooded the market with all this extra inventory, which drove the prices down, and they still own quite a bit of it. And then you look at San Diego. You know what? Frankly, pre-COVID, we were anywhere between 3,500 and 4,000 homes on the market, as high as maybe 4,500. Today, we have like 2,600 homes on the market. You'll see that number bounce up and down. And when you look at a week over week, 2 weeks in a row, we've increased by 25% of how many homes went into contract. We actually had our highest contract week in the last 7-day period than we did all the way back to like August or July of last year. Was actually this week, which is super rare and unheard of, and really doesn't quite kick up until usually kind of like mid to late February, but it did this time. And then so we look at the fact that we have a lot of government jobs here, military jobs here, bio life science that's keeping people alive and healthy, and they're hiring like crazy for that. Nursing is really big here. We have a lot of stuff that is not super speculative like some of the other cities do. And then the most important thing about this article that I found interesting is I couldn't really find Goldman's original letter to the shareholders saying any of this kind of stuff. I'm sure it's out there and I'm sure you can find it, but I couldn't find it. But last year alone, Goldman raised $3.5 billion to buy what? Real estate. And if you go look up Goldman Sachs real estate and type in California, Texas, you type in Florida, you type in all these different states, they're buying massive amounts of real estate in these states around the Bay Area, in Dallas, in Fort Worth, in these areas that they're claiming are be so speculative. Goldman Sachs is buying real estate in those areas just in the last 6 months. I mean, they put together $3.5 billion in the middle of last year to go on a buying spree. So do you think, just maybe they're trying to suppress the markets a little bit so that they can take an advantage of buying? Because guess who owns a lot of the media outlets? Investment bank companies, because they want to control the narrative. So I'm not trying to get all hokey here. What I'm trying to say is, if you really look at the facts and the details, you look at inventory here in San Diego has done nothing but go down, right? We look at home prices haven't gone down that much. We don't have a massive surplus of inventory on the market that people can negotiate and renegotiate over and over again. There aren't a plethora of great options for people to come to town and buy because it's so limited. And even if our inventory grows by 15, 20, 30% going over the course of the selling season, we're not going to see enough craziness, especially if we see rates come down a little bit more. We're going to see a lot more normal market and transactions happen and less discounts. In fact, if you watch any of the really immediate things that have happened over the last 14 to 21 days, you'll see that there was an open house this weekend I drove by that had 70 people going in and out of it on a Saturday, which is crazy. You're seeing multiple offers on homes that have been sitting for weeks. You're seeing homes selling over the list price just in the last couple of weeks, and all rates did was make a very small dip down. So people are hungry to own real estate here in San Diego. People are hungry. They're coming into all of our open houses. They're seeing that kind of stuff. So don't believe that fake news that says that we're going to depress a whole bunch. If you're thinking about selling or buying, don't buy into that kind of stuff. Look at the data, especially in the micro market that you want to live in. If it's Scripps Ranch versus La Jolla versus Carlsbad, you want to look at the micro market to see what's actually happening in those areas to figure out what's best for you. So don't buy into the fake news. Don't buy into all that stuff that says the world's going to crash and we're going to be one of the worst markets. And I'm going to share this with all the clients that shared this article with me, and I love that we're creating dialogue around it. But remember to check those facts because it may not be what you think. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.